everyone. So we're going to begin the webinar. My name is Karina McNish, and I'll be showing you today how to create a new listing and how to modify an existing listing and duplicate a listing. So if anyone has any technical difficulties during the webinar, I'd ask that you exit the webinar and then enter again. Usually that resolves all the technical issues. If you have other issues, even after doing that, I'll ask you to call Centris. So in your Centris zone, on the top right corner, you have the question mark where you have the contact information. So you could call them here and I'd be able to assist you with the technical difficulties. If you do have some questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Simply type them to me. So send one single message, please, with if it's 2 sentences or 3, that's fine, but just all in one message. It's easier for me to understand you. Okay. So just before we begin, I'd like to show you that, so on the center zone, you do have the dashboard, but there also is the, where I was just before, the training section. So if you go on the training section, you can register through the webinars like the one we're having here today. So all the webinars that are offered by Centris are here. So you can click on webinars and then you can select the tool that you are interested in and then the language. So maybe you've registered this way before, but for the webinar today, but for people who aren't, who didn't register this way, this is one way to access the webinars. Okay, so what I will be doing is adding a new listing, and what you'll be seeing is on your dashboard is the blue button here that says add a listing, and this way you'll be able to select the type of property, so single family home, condominium, income property, farm, land, commercial, or industrial property sale. Okay, so you can select the property that you would like. So I'll select single family home and you will arrive on this page here. So as a listing broker, your name will be there, and if you'd like to add another broker, you do it just this way. And you'll be able to select your colleague. And okay, sorry about this. Okay, hold on just one moment, please. Okay, sorry about that. So I just had to log out and log in again here. So what I was saying is, so you'll be able to, your name will be there by default. And when you want to add a colleague, so if you're co-listing with somebody else, You'll be able to add the other brokers the same way. So if it's 1 or 2 or 3 brokers, it'll be the same way that you add them. Okay. To the right, you have the basic information you need to start a new listing. So you need a signed contract to be able to start publishing your listing. And once you have the signed contract, you have 5 days to complete the new listing. So your sales contract on an OICQ form has a number, so that's the number you're going to put in here. If it's a rental contract, you'll also have a number. For those of you who work in commercial, where you don't or you're not using the OICQ forms, you might have another way of identifying your contracts, and that's what the other here is meant for. So if you have another way to, I think it's very, it varies a lot. So if you're, the way you're identifying your contracts be very personal here. So it could be many things. So those are for non-OICQ forms. When we're going to, I forgot to mention the notice of disclosure. So if there is an interest or direct or indirect interest, you do have to disclose. And at any moment during the broker loading, you do have here the access to the real estate glossary, where you have all of the definitions of the terms on the page that you're on. So if you're unsure if it's a direct or indirect interest, you have the definitions here. And if we're going over to so we have 9 pages here. So if we're going over to the second page and you click on the real estate glossary, you'll then have all the definitions on that page. Okay. So that's a really big help if you're a new broker, or even if there are terms that you're not used to working with. They're all here, and that will definitely help you out in filling out your listing sheet. Okay, so coming back to our information here. So our property type. So is it a bungalow, 2 or more story, split level, 1.5 story mobile home? So again, if you're unsure, sometimes between split level, 1.5 story, you can go have a look at the real estate glossary. So I'll do 2 or more story. And if our house has the option of being intergenerational, you can tick the box here. Actually, you should. And that means that the property is not registered at this municipality with a second apartment. Rather, it's another part of the house that is for another generation of the family, so not generating any income. So for a teenager, a parent, and it can have a door, but you do have to verify with the municipality that is the correct definition of that additional space in the house. And then you'd be able to click the check the box here. It could also be seasonal if it was a cottage. So if it's only to be used 3 seasons per year, that would be the option to select. The building type. So if it's detached, semi-detached, or attached corner unit, or cadrex. So again, if you're unsure, you can go on the definitions here in the glossary, and you can see what these are. Okay. So I will do a detached. I have a sale price here that I've determined in my sales contract. Now, is it a new construction? Is there GST, QST, or commercial? So if it applies, tick the box. It'll calculate the taxes. There's also the option to check the box for trade. So if it is possible to trade, it doesn't happen very often, but it could. If the person wants to trade for a house from one city to another, same type of house, but just different locations. So you could tick that box to open up to even more buyers that might be searching, or brokers that would be searching for buyers with that feature. You can also have a rental price if you're renting. You could be selling and renting, or just renting. So is it a rental price per week, month, or year? Is there a GST, QST? And what is the duration of the lease? So same thing, number of weeks, months, or years. Okay. This price modification date here, this is for later, so not at this date when we're publishing a new listing. So that will happen later on if there is a price modification date. So just mentioning it for now. Moving on to the right here, you have the date of the contract signature. So let's suppose we're signing the contract today. You will have 5 days as of now to complete the listing sheet here. You do have to enter the expiration date of your contract. So let's say you've put it until the end of the year. And then again, I'm mentioning this part here, but this is for later. So date of conditional promise to purchase. So that's once you've published a listing, you do some showings and you get receive some offers and you accept an offer, then you would come here and you would select the date and say, okay, I've accepted an offer. So I've published it today. I've got an offer, sight unseen, and I've accepted it, great offer, and it runs until the 31st of March. So that's when I would put it here. Okay, but I'll delete that for now and we'll get back to it later when we'll be going to modify a listing. So now we're creating a listing. So just a quick mention here. So you don't wonder what it is or thought I skipped through it. So the compensation here is what you've determined in your contract for the collaborating broker. Now, could it be a fixed amount? That's also possible. And for rental, is it a lump sum or variable compensation? And is there a lease renewal compensation? So that often happens for commercial leases. And then any other information you would need to declare. Okay. And then here, if you could please enter if you've gotten in contact and retrieved this client from a for sale by owner website. Okay, so it could be one of these, yes or no, and then select which one. And that would give Centra some stats on how many listings are being transferred from for sale by owners to brokers. Okay. Here, so broker's declaration on the right, you must indicate yes when the seller has received the right to sell their property themselves or when there is an indication of a designated client in the brokerage contract. So that's pretty simple. So let's hope we always are always able to select no. If not, then select yes. Publication on internet means that it's not a private listing or a pocket listing, we might say. You do want it for sale on centris.ca and Realtor and all the other agency websites. So that's what it is. There is a possibility if you have maybe a very famous client who doesn't want their property to be on the internet everywhere, then you might not want to do publication on internet. That might be one of the situations. Okay. So I hope that's clear for everyone. So someone is asking me if one eventually modifies the asking price, what does delete this date mean? I believe this is new, but I believe this is when you don't want the date to be to appear. You'll have to call Centris to find out exactly. I know that it's possible to not have the red banner that says new price, and I think this is what it would be. Just make sure with them that that's what it is. But I think that's what it is. Okay. So before you move over to a second page, I always recommend that you save. So I will save. And now you have the notification I mentioned before where it will tell you have 5 days to complete your listing. So you have until the 21st of March, 11:59 to complete. So you can, if you want for extra, to be super sure that everything is saved, you can write down the number that you have here. But what will happen is it will be in your incomplete listings in your dashboard. So I'm in a training environment here, so I don't have it. But if I go in incomplete and I was a broker, you would have your incomplete listing here, which you could access and then complete later on. So it does take a bit of time to fill in the to publish your listing. So you do have 9 pages, so you could start it and then pause and come back later and continue. Just select your incomplete and continue to modify it or fill it out. Okay. So here you have to locate the property. So for my example here, I'm using this location. And you have to fill out the postal code. Cross street isn't necessary. Name of body of water either. Private street only if it applies. Apartment only if it applies. Sometimes the streets aren't registered here. It doesn't happen often, but you could select other. And then you have to set the location of your listing. So it's usually pretty right, but if ever it isn't, you can move it, move the location here according to its exact location. And then you can hit confirm. You do have to put the cadastre number, the certificate of location. So if you do have one, make sure it isn't simply your vendor that mentioned that they had one. It's that you actually have it on hand. If not, select no. If you do select yes, you'll have to put in the date, and later on the last page, you'll have to upload the certificate of location. Okay. So as you can see here, if you hover over the top left icon, you have the entire menu that is there, and you're able to select the page, just jump to the page that you're looking to go to, or you can go with the arrows here left and right and make your way that way. Okay, so I'll click no for now. Now here, the deed of sale, so the date or deadline is as a guideline. If you do have a fixed date because of a mortgage renewal or a moving date that's already been fixed, then it's preferable to mention it this way. If it's flexible, your vendor's dates depend on the sale of the property, then typically people would put 30, 60, 90, or 120 days after an accepted promise to purchase. Okay, so for the notary date and the occupation date, usually it's we put the same delay. It's only a guideline, right? It'll be negotiated in the offer and transaction with buyers and vendors. If it is rented, then you do have to tick the box according to leases. So this is very important. If you forget to do that, that could make things very complicated during your transaction. Make sure not to forget this here if it is rented and the new owner has to comply with all the rules from the Régie du Logement to give notice and retake possession of the house for their personal use. Okay, so big implications here, this little box. And then at the right, this is information for your colleagues. So for appointments, for showings, so is the key at the office, 24-hour minimum notice, or is there a lockbox and you can go visit anytime, the house is empty. So these are options that you have. So I will save and I will move on to my third page. Now my owner here, in our example, will say that she lives at the same address as the property that we're selling. Okay, and then we can have a person, so Jane Doe, and then we can also have a company. And if we do have a company or a succession, then we'll have a representative on the right. So your representative will be either mandatory liquidator of a succession, of a business corporation, or curateur public du Québec. Okay, and then you would put in the name of that representative, or so person or company legal person. Now that is not the second owner. Okay, so if you want to add the second owner, you would click on the plus, and now you have owner number 2 with representative number 2, and you fill in the same information. Okay, so I'll go for 1 just for now. So we've entered, okay, so that disappeared. So there you go. We have Jane Doe, who lives at the address of the house that we are selling, and their email. You are not obliged to put in the email, but what you do have to put in, because this is information that will be in the, I'm afraid to lose my my page here, but in the information here, you'll have the vendor's name, and you'll also have their address, and if you were putting the phone number, it would appear there. So you might not want to share that with all the other brokers, and the email. But what you do have to select is if the language is French or English. So you'll notice when you do click on that button here, you'll see next to the vendor's name, there's an A or an F, that's English or French. So we'll select English for the purpose of our example here. Now, Simple Notice is a tool that is also offered by Centris. If you are not aware of it, you can go find out more about it in the trainings. So it's simply it's to send notices to your vendors for 72-hour notices or anything that is time sensitive. You could use this tool. So I suggest you do. So if you select yes, you would put in the owner's email or cell phone if you'd like to, and they would receive their notices that that the conditions are fulfilled and the sale is complete, or they aren't, and all sorts of notices that you could receive in a transaction. Okay, if not, simply select no and don't put in an email. Okay, so I'll go over to the 4th page. So building and lot. So you may have a 2,000-year construction. You have to have the document. So anything that you're going to publish here on the listing, you do have to have a document behind it that is confirming the information. So is it so do you have the information that that's the year of the construction? If not, select unknown under construction or to be built if it's the case. If there's a distinctive feature, so you do need some form of documentation from the municipality that is a historic, century, or if it's new, or if it's being converted. Expected delivery date if it is a new construction. So the building size here, so I have an easy example where it's 40 feet by 40 feet. If it isn't a perfect square, then you would select irregular. And the building area, so at ground level, you would have 1,600 square feet. And the living area, I said my house was 2 levels, so it's 3,200 square feet. And this is something, these are informations that I've gathered from my certificate of location, right? That is the only document I can refer to for living area. The lot size and the lot size as well. So here I have 60 by 100 feet, and then I could put irregular as my lot is probably not a perfect rectangle. And the zoning here, so which zoning is it? And make sure to verify with the city that that is the correct zoning. Now, if it's a repossession, so sale by judicial authority or none, you do have to declare. So you do have to select one of the answers. If it's sold with legal warranty or without legal warranty, you do have to specify for the brokers, the older brokers. Before we were only doing a notification, we were taking out the legal warranty. Now we do have to say if it is included or not, which is better, less mistakes. Now, normally we always have a seller's declaration, so you would click yes here and enter your seller's declaration form. If ever you wouldn't have a seller's declaration, you would select no, and then there is the option to declare a few things here with the options that you have here, and then in other seller's declaration. Okay, so possibly for a piece of land or something like that. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go on to the 5th page. On the 5th page here, you have the number of rooms. So you can select 8 rooms, for example. You do have to put in the, so now you have your 8 rooms here ready to fill out. Before you do that, you do have to put the total number of bedrooms, which would be 3, and then possibly 0 in the basement, and 1 bathroom, 1 powder room. And if you did have 1 here in the basement, your listing is going to show up as 3 bedrooms plus 1. Okay, so the bedrooms in the basement are plus 1. Now the level here for the first 4 rooms, I'll put them on the first level, and then you would go and with the drop-down menu, you can select. You can scroll down through them, or just punch in the first letter, just to at least here I want living room, but I'm in the L's, and then I could D for dining room, and then I could do powder room, so P, and there you go. And then second level, I will put my 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. There you go. And at all the measures that you've taken in the house, you're now going to put them here and determine if they're all in feet or in meters. So let's do feet. And as soon as you have an angled wall or something a little bit irregular in the room, so a closet or anything like that, you would then select irregular. Okay. Then you can select the floor coverings. Make sure that you have confirmed that the wood floors are actually wood floors. They aren't engineered wood floors. Well, that would work, but make sure it could be really good imitation wood, and but it wouldn't be wood. And if you're selling a house and you're declaring that it's wood, then the buyer could sue you for false information. So make sure it's actually wood. And so you can do that for each room. If there's a fireplace and stove, you would tick the box. And then in the additional information here, the type of information you put in there is maybe view of the lake, or here ensuite bathroom, and different little features that you would like to add to each bedroom. You would put here in English and in French. And the additional space, so these are pretty much outdoor spaces. Please do put in the balconies. So the balconies, often the sizes aren't there, but if there's a really big balcony, it could be really appealing to a buyer. So solarium here, not exactly outdoor, but almost. So those are the type of additional spaces you could have, as well as a garage. So we'll put in a garage here. It does not mean that if you've added an additional space here as a garage, that your listing will come up with a garage if somebody searched for it in Matrix, if a broker searched for it, or in Centris. You do need to have to tick the box later on in the description of the property that there is a garage. So we'll see that in a minute. If here there was a lease, you would have all of these options to fill out, so what's included according to the lease. And what I've done purposely here on the first page is I've ticked the box that it was a intergenerational home, meaning that I have another unit, and here it is in the basement, and it's meant for a family member and not for rental. So this is intergenerational, and then additional revenues here would be for a rental. So at the city, it would be an apartment for rental purposes where it could generate income. Okay, and notice the intergenerational does not have the income field to fill out. Okay, so here you would put 1 bedroom in the basement and 1 bathroom, 0 powder rooms. That makes sense. So you would have a living room, kitchen, and bathroom. Actually, like instead of living room, I'll add another room here. Okay. We'll do living room, and then we'll have a full separate bedroom. Same thing, put in the sizes and the different descriptions as the rest of the house up here. Okay, so now your listing will be very clear. There's going to be the house, and there's going to be a second section on your detailed sheet where you're going to see the basement section with the intergeneration. So moving on to the 6th page, you have the information for the taxes. So make sure you have the most recent copy of the tax bill evaluation and the tax bill right here. So you want to declare that. And any other taxes there may be. And the electricity is very pertinent information to publish, along with the heating, oil, gas, or if there are any other energy bills, you would put them in here. And then expenses. So for common expenses, that could be snow removal. So snow removal with all the other neighbors for the alley. So it could be $300 per year, and then you would specify what it is. So alley snow removal. So you would do that for the English and write it in French as well. Okay. So someone's asking, it doesn't take decimals? No, it does not. So it does make it a bit more simple, but then the person can always take the official bills and see for themselves. Okay, so don't worry about that. It's meant to be that way. So now on the 7th page, this is very important for you to sell your property, to make sure your property is found by all the potential buyers, by the clientele for your house, and all the brokers will also find it. So this page takes a lot of time, and that's where maybe it might be relevant to hit save, maybe jot down the Centris number just to be 100% sure, and come back and complete your listing when it's a better time, because it does take a bit of time. So you have all of the features here that you have to fill out. Once you're used to them, it goes pretty fast. And then you have all the text you're going to put in your listing that are on these tabs here. So I'm going to start with these. So the sewage system, it might be obvious to you that it's a municipality, but if there's a broker that's new to your city and typically works in the countryside, he might wonder if your house seems a bit, it's in the suburbs, you might think, oh, well, is there a septic tank or is it the municipality? So don't take for granted that it's obvious to everyone, right? And same thing, if you're working in the city and you're going to go buy cottages, it isn't obvious for you which areas are hooked up to the municipal services. So for sewage system, and then for water supply, same thing. Now the parking, this is where I was mentioning before, you do have to declare here that there is a parking. So often I see in the description that there is a parking, or in the additional spaces as we did a few pages before, but it isn't here, which means that when someone's on centris.ca looking for a parking, they won't find your listing for garage, pardon me. And brokers using that in their search criteria, they will not, your listing won't pop up, okay? So make sure to fill that out. And then the garage, how is it, what type of garage is it? So attached, built-in, detached, double. So I'll do detached. Is there a carport, a driveway? So what's the driveway made of? Is there a basement? So very important. So we have a basement, 6 feet or more, finished basement, because we have our intergenerational there, right? And there's also an outdoor entrance. So it's a very important information. If you have someone, a family member living down there, and they want their own space, do they have their own door? Do they have to come through the main house to exit and enter the house? So water access for cottages, country houses, very important. Is there access to a body of water? What type of body of water? Is it navigable, non-navigable, waterfront, or other? Okay, so very, very important. The view, so some people do purchase properties according to views, view of the mountain, view of the city, panoramic view, proximity, take everything that applies. Is there a pool? People will search with a pool, and some do not want a pool at all. Mobility, impaired accessible, so very important as well. Renovations, so anything here that you declare, along as I said it before, anything you declare in your listing sheet, you do have to have a document to support it. But even more the renovations here, you can't declare that the bathroom was done in 2022 and not have the bill behind it. Your clients might be saying that they had it renovated, they put $5,000 in the bathroom, but really all they did is they painted the walls, the cabinets, and they just did a sort of a little makeover. So you do need to have the bill to support anything you declare, especially in the renovations here. Now the bathroom here, is there anything particular about it you would want to add? Washer, dryer, very important to mention where they are. Often we do not see them in the pictures. It isn't something that's very pretty to display on a photo. And here you would specify, especially for condos, sometimes different undivided condos, sometimes there is a shared laundry room in the basement. So important here to come and specify that there is a laundry room and it is in the house. So a house makes more sense, but if you're a condo, it's a bit more relevant here to come and specify. Equipment and services, so is there central air, conditioning, sauna, wall-mounted heat pump? All of this is very important. Elevator, it might be obvious to you, you're doing a condo and you're saying it's on the 5th floor, so for you it's obvious that there is an elevator, but for other brokers it might not be obvious at all. So make sure to tick that box. Heating system, heating energy, fireplace, energy efficiency, so more and more relevant, kitchen cabinets, roofing, siding, and that could be more than one option. What type of windows? And the foundation, do take the time to go and verify. Is it a poured concrete foundation? Is it stones? Is it piling? Is it a concrete slab, concrete blocks? Big implications on the quality of the home. Very important to fill that out. So the lot, is it fenced? All sorts of information. Topography, distinctive features here. So this is just, the more you enter, the better for you, right? And rented equipment. So anything that is renter that the buyer has to or could take on, and buildings to distinctive feature, and any restrictions. So these are quite important. We had the laws for smoking in condos here was a big deal a few years ago. So that changed a lot of things for people. People had to move out. They were smokers and they couldn't smoke in their buildings anymore or on their balconies. Okay, so very important to go through that. You can also just search at the top for the feature that you would like to fill out. Okay, so I hope that's clear. I think it's pretty straightforward. Now for the tabs on the right here, that's where it becomes a bit more ambiguous for brokers. So it's very important to understand what these are and how the information you put in will appear on in different places. So on centers.ca, what will show up here, and then on Matrix, and what will happen on a listing sheet. So inclusions and exclusions will be on a listing sheet. Info selling broker is what, I'll just hit save here. All right. Info selling broker is the information that will be only for between brokers. So only completely private between real estate brokers. No one from the public will see the information that goes here. Everything else the public will see. Okay. So remarks broker, remarks public, and addendum. So I'll show you the difference. I'll take this centrist number here. And, oh, I'm already on it. Okay. So this listing here has a broker remarks, which is exactly the same as the description on the centrist website, or if we go on the Engel and Volker's website, the elevator pitch or sales pitch that you'll have on these all these websites will be the remarks public. Okay. The thing is that the remarks public and remarks broker are the exact same length, so 650 characters. So what people most of the time they do is in the listing here. So I'll just copy paste this. So I'll take this out. So most of the time what brokers will do is you'll have the remarks broker remarks, sorry, which are these here. So it's still your, sales pitch, elevators pitch. When a broker is looking at the listing, that's what they'll see. And when this listing is printed and handed out to buyers at open houses, showings, they'll also be seeing this. So it makes sense. But then what will be online on all the sites, you only have so many words you can put, is going to be the same thing. You can make it, you can do two different descriptions if you want. The option is there. But when you go on remarks public, you have the option here, enter remarks, which copies the broker remarks. Public remarks will be, typically they're the same. You could, if you want, do something different. I'm just not seeing why, or never seen why you would have a different description. Where it is different is the addendum. And the addendum, you have 3,000 characters where you can explain a lot more about, often it's the surroundings of the house. So here, or here we have, so it's a specific builder. So construction, André Rousseau. And then here, so this is the development, where I'm guessing there's multiple houses that have been built in that area. So a new development, and then some extra information here. And then you have a lot of listings that you'll have where you'll have a lot of information about bike score, walk score, schools that are nearby. So in the features, so I mentioned, so the sewage, you want to tick, municipality, foundation, poured concrete. So you see these people here, they've filled it out pretty well. Often you see these features here, they're all empty. Okay, you have the garages here and the driveways. All of the features that we're doing here is what you'll see here. So it's very useful to see here that there's a basement 6 feet or more finished with an outdoor entrance. Okay, it has great value, so make sure it is there. But if you do enter that there's a garage here, you have to mention that there's a garage there, okay? But in addition to, so what I was getting at is the, you might say here that it's proximity to bike paths, CEGEP, cross-country skiing, daycare, and all of that. So those are things that you can, boxes that you can tick in the features here. But here you might want to describe which cross-country skiing path, which park, which, is it a national park? Is it one of the best elementary schools? Is it a Montessori? Is it, so this is a lot of the information that you'll have in the addendum. And then you can do, since you have you have 3,000 characters, you can put different styles in your addendum. So here we have something different. So no addendum here. This is, I'd like to find one. But some people will put stars. They will put we'll try and find one for you here. Hopefully I'll have some luck. Okay, so this one's different. So here we have little, so you can do a different style. You have stars, or so here, often this is what you'll see in the addendum. Now the addendum is not on the public websites, okay? So as you can notice, what we have on here, the description, it's pretty brief. We have the pictures, the description, and if we were to go, usually on the agency's website, we only have the description, and okay, so I have to go and find everything here on her website. But the addendum doesn't usually appear. Okay, so they've put everything there, and they've put even more. Okay, but typically on Centris Realtor MLS, you have the description, which is the same as the broker remarks. So I hope that's clear for you. If you do, so someone's asking me, so only the brokers see the addendum? Not exactly, because as I mentioned, here in your all your tabs, the only information that the public will never ever see is this. Beware of dog, or please don't let the cat out, or motivated vendor. Okay, please notify your buyers that there is a strong cigarette smell. Okay, so this is information you would never want on a public site. So this is private between brokers. So that's the only one. Info selling broker. These are the type of information. That's the type of information you put there. But everything else can and most probably will make its way to the buyer. And to answer your question, the addendum would, because as soon as you print or email the detailed sheet, usually during an open house, or if you're sending the detailed sheets to your clients by email or by text message before your round of showings on this Sunday, they're going to have the detailed sheet, and on the detailed sheet, the addendum is there. Okay, it just isn't accessible from the general public. Okay, apologies here. General public will have a short description, which is the elevator pitch, which is the broker remarks, public remarks. Now, if you're still unsure, when you're listing your property, publish it, and then go see what your listing looks like on all the different websites. Okay, go on your Remax, Royal Lepage, Sutton, whatever agency you're with. Have a look on, go on centres.ca, go see what it looks like. And if you've put in the private information here that there's cigarette smell, beware of the cat, and the lock spot code is 2424, then go back in your dashboard here and modify your listing. Okay. So make sure that you verify that. You're very welcome. Okay. So moving on, so you would fill in here all your information, inclusions. So appliances, put in the appliances. You want to put all the brands. So 5 appliances, all LG. If you're exclusions, you could put light fixtures, and French and English, and then take your time to have a compelling description here, and then even more in your addendum. Okay, so I'm going to hit save, and then move on to the 8th page. And on the 8th page, you'll have the option to do open houses, and select the date. So you can do an open house this Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. And any other comments. So here you could encourage the brokers to send their buyers without them being there, and mention that you're fine with that you can show the house to their buyers even if they can't make it, if they have other open houses or working with their buyers. Then you could also add and then you also have to add the virtual open house if you do have one, and you would put the link. And you could also do a caravan. So a caravan, usually what it is an open house, but for brokers. Typically it would be on a Tuesday at lunch, and you would have the brokers over, have a bit of food and drinks, and show the house to your colleagues so that they afterwards would go and show the house to their buyers, and bring offers. Okay, so you could do an end and start time. So as you can see, you can add and remove at any time. Okay, and this, once you've published your listing, you can go back and add an extra open house. So you don't have to determine all of the open houses, the dates at first. You could come back if you see that there's enough activity, then you maybe drop the price and do an open house. And also you have the option here to offer private interactive showings upon request. Okay. So I'll move over to the last page. which is the for the pictures and the documents. So you have to make sure that you have the authorization to use these pictures. So you can't take the pictures, screenshot the pictures from a previous listing. You can't take any picture without having the right to use them. Okay, so make sure that you do. Even a screenshot from Google Street View isn't even legal. Okay, so make sure you have that, and you want to add your picture and upload. So let's see, I have 24 pictures. I have one here. And when I have my picture, I would then put a description, and in front I could do a small description. I could say a new frontage or something like that. If it was upside down, you can turn it here, you can delete it. And if you have 24 pictures, you'll be able here to move your picture over to the second picture, third picture. You'll be able to move them that way or move them left and right, so you can change the order. Make sure you put your pictures in an order that makes sense, so as if you were walking through the property. So usually you walk in, you have a living area, kitchen, dining room, then maybe a powder room, then you have the upstairs and the bedrooms and the bathroom, and then the outside. So something like that. So ideally you want it to make sense, and you can always add more photos. So if you do have virtual tours, you add the hyperlinks here. If you have, so you do here have to upload your brokerage contract and all of the annexes. So if there's a brokerage contract, and then if you had an amendment, you change your contract, you have to upload the amendment as well. Okay. So this is only for Centris. Only Centris will, so as you see, unpublished additional documents. So for internal use only. The additional documents will be the so seller's declaration that for sure you have to add. So I will do, I'll just put a random document here, and I'll add it here, and what will happen is it will appear without a description, and then I'll have to select what it is. So you'll select seller's declaration, and then you have to put the date that it was signed. So seller's declaration has to be signed just before a contract, according to the OICQ, so a few minutes or something like that. And then a description isn't necessary because it's a seller's declaration, right? If we had ticked the box that we had the certificate of location, you also have to upload the certificate of location in that case. Now, let's say, for example, you have a roof repair or replacement bill and you want to put it on Matrix. Ideally, you want to put as much information as possible on Matrix so that the buyers and the broker will look at all the documents before making an offer, and they might not make you an offer that is conditional to viewing all of those documents, especially if you're selling condos. So the 3 years of minutes, so financial statements and so the minutes, the condo associations, the co-ownership declaration, if you can upload all of that in Matrix, that's ideal, right? But then you might have these other documents like roof repair, and then you would put it under other, and then you would type in roof replacement or repair. And that's when the description is useful. Okay. And then I would be ready to submit the listing. So wait and see what happens here. So as I'm doing a training with you, I haven't filled out everything. I have a lot of mistakes, but most likely when you'll do your first listings, if these are your first listings, you'll have as many mistakes, which is completely normal. After a certain number of listings, you'll know how it works, and you won't be having too many mistakes. But what is neat about this is that you click on the mistake and it will bring you to the area where there is a mistake. So here what I did, I was explaining to you all sorts of different things, and I clicked other seller's declaration and I didn't type in anything in the description. So the system is telling me it doesn't make sense what you selected, okay? So here, no value can be entered in the seller's declaration form number field if the seller declaration is equal to no. So here I selected no because I was explaining this here. So I'll do this, and that will resolve that mistake. So I'm down to 32 errors. There you go. Okay, it's not budging. You get the idea. So here, if I did a description in English, I also have to do it in French, okay? And so on. So I won't go through all of them, but it's pretty easy. So, oh, I forgot to mention this. So it's a small one here at the bottom, mortgage. So it's neat that that I saw it. For the mortgage here, you can say no if there's no mortgage. If there is a mortgage, typically you would put in at least the name of the lender. And then if there is a possibility of mortgage assumption, if a mortgage assumption is qualified, or if you could transfer the mortgage, that might be something that the information here you would want to put in so that the buyer could see possibly the opportunity of taking over the vendor's mortgage. Okay, so there you go. You have all of these that you would go through, and once it's published, you'll have it on your dashboard, and it will be under your active listings. Okay. Now, to modify a listing, you will need to select. So once you have on your dashboard, the listing, you'll have 3 dots on the right. And give me a quick second here. I will just pull it up for you. Okay. So what you'll be having, what we've done here is we've added a listing, and we did a single family home. And take note that if you're doing a condo, income property, a farm, land, or commercial property, it will be pretty much the same thing. So there will be differences for sure, but it's pretty much the same concept, and you always have the real estate glossary to help you navigate the different pages for the different types of properties. Okay. So to modify the listing, as I mentioned, you can so modify it this way, or you click on the 3 dots and you'll have the same drop down menu, and that's when you would when you would want to modify a listing is most probably when you want to notify that there is a promise to purchase. So what you want to do on the first page, once you receive a promise to purchase, you would come here, and so let's say you've got, as I mentioned before, an offer right away, sight unseen, and it runs until the let's say the 31st. When you do that, what will happen is that you'll have that red banner that we had on that first house we were looking at before. And what that does is that it notifies the brokers that there's an accepted offer, but not the general public. So some brokers fear, they don't want to notify that there is an accepted offer like this, because they think buyers will see it and will stop calling, and they want to retrieve and convert those buyers and find them another home. But the buyer does not see that on the site. Can you see? It's only for brokers. So it helps everyone in the sense that brokers will know that you have an offer, and they won't be doing showing requests. And they might just send you an email contact asked to be kept informed, but they won't be doing showing requests. So they won't be losing time waiting for your response. And you'll also won't be receiving so many email contacts for showing requests that you have to decline. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why you would want to modify a listing. You come back to your listing and you modify here, or if you do a price drop and the price modification date So I think this is when you wouldn't want it to appear on the site that there's on the general public site that there's a price drop, or if you're extending your contract. So if you had a contract for a few months and you're prolonging it, this is some of the ways that you could do it. Okay. And the last thing I need to show you today is how to duplicate a listing. So if your listing did expire, maybe it was last year, and then your client calls you back and they want to put it on the market again, you could go and find your expired listing and you could duplicate the listing. And in that situation, what happens is that the listing that you've had before will start fresh as a new listing, and all you have to do is update your dates. So you're going to change your contract date. So instead of March last year, it will be March this year. Maybe you want to add new pictures. The taxes might have gone up, and then you just have to tweak a few things. But instead of having to do the entire process all over again, you can duplicate. Now you can only duplicate your own listings, and if you were co-listing with somebody else, you can duplicate the listings that you were the main broker of. Okay, if your colleague was the main broker and then they only want, the vendors only want to work with you to list again, then you wouldn't be able to duplicate because your colleague isn't on the listing and he was the main broker, who was the one who published the listing. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of them right now. If not, I'd just like to show you before we end the webinar that the trainings are in the training section here, and this is where you can access the webinars, and then also the Centris contact information up here on the right, and they can assist you pretty much any day of the year, so by phone, chat, or email, private consultation if you have any questions. So it seems pretty clear for everyone. I don't have any questions, so thank you for attending the webinar today, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in a future webinar offered by Centris.